Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of the Destiny and Beyond Gaming Podcast. I am Vigilant, and today we are rejoined by our long-lost co-host, the Canadian sensation, back from his pilgrimage to the Great Maple Tree of Canada, Proxy.
Hey guys, what's going on? You ran that intro just a little bit too long.
No
Don't insult
way.
my maple heritage.
And
my intro better be better.
also joined by the prettiest and brittiest
Aw.
Brit with wit, the Lady Guardian.
Hi, Vigilant. How are you?
Yeah, not too shabby. Pretty good. I had a pretty
I'm
good week.
excellent as well.
Hey, how was your guys' week?
It was not bad. Taking a little break, injured my arm. It's all good. You know, just stitched a little maple syrup onto it, and it heals us right up. It's a perk of being Canadian.
No, my week was good, thank you. I've had a lot of fun grinding Gambit this week, so...
I honestly haven't played that much Destiny this week. I've been playing other games. I played a lot of Black Ops 4 this week. I binged all of Daredevil Season 3. I binged Making a Murderer Season 2. Not much Destiny. I hit 600 a couple weeks ago, and it's, you know, as everyone in the clan hits 600, there's less and less to grind for. I mean, I played a lot of the Haunted Forest, but even that, I kind of got what I wanted already.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just been doing other things.
I have to say, for my Destiny experience, my consistent gameplay level has been dropping. Mostly Gambit for a gear set, but I was thinking about this just today actually, that the grind it used to be like a week, 2 weeks, and I mean it was practically 2 months to get to 600 if you know grinded consistently with a work schedule.
Yeah, well, some of us haven't made it there yet, so I still got some grind to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is nice, to be honest. It's nice that it's hard work for a change.
Yeah, this grind was definitely good. I like that it took a lot longer. I think we hit it pretty hard with the raid stuff. Like as soon as we could do the raid, we were in the raid for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And have you gotten in the raid yet?
No, but hopefully this weekend I have found some people to raid with me. So
hey,
this weekend it'll happen.
That'll be exciting. I'm excited to hear the feedback from that.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I mean, especially now everyone's kind of got to grips and they've got their ways of doing it. It'll be quite interesting to go in having done none of it and just see how smoothly or not it's working.
Oh yeah, I mean it's probably one of the better raids. I'd say it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was Sherpaing a few people through the raid earlier this week. Actually, a couple of people on PC had never done it before. They said they couldn't find a group, and so 5 people and 1 person who knew it, me. It was great. Good time.
Oh man, every now and then when it comes to like being a first time raider, it can be really hard because like this community is amazing. I love the Destiny community, but when it comes to raiding, like some people just don't want. Like the thing with Destiny raids is that they can be really hard if you don't know what you're doing. Like you can easily spend like look at Dado on his first raid clear 2402. You know,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can spend a long time in there just trying to bash your head against the wall. So people just want to get in there with a good oiled group, people that know what they're doing, and So when you're new, it's hard to get your foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Definitely.
That was exactly the case with the group that I went through that with, because I told them honestly, I said I had an hour to get this done and I was looking to bang it out right away. I said, obviously that won't happen. They apologized. I told them not to worry about it. I said, you got to learn. I said, we'll learn. So I talked them through the first 3 fights. And I didn't have time to finish the third, but we got through the hardest mechanically. And I was going to say, when you said it's the community can be kind of harsh, I was saying to myself, I'm giving back to the community by teaching them, by learning them.
Sometimes, because you run into a lot of people that are trying to raid quick, but there's also a lot of people out there that enjoy Sherping like you do. I mean, I like taking people through for their first time. I think it's very special watching people kind of figure things out and have that aha moment in each encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely too. Give them a positive, view of the Destiny community as well. Because I mean, it can be very hostile to people that don't know what they're doing. Definitely.
I think that's probably why I've not really tried to find a group yet, because I've been so low on my light that you end up being a bird. And like, I went in World's first night on Leviathan and Spire and Each of Worlds, and that's hard. Like, it's hard when you're under light and you're getting taken out. So I think because I know that I would take so much damage, I have kind of probably not looked as hard as I could have to find a raid team to go in with. Because it sucks when you're the one that dies all the time as well.
Oh yeah. Although in the Last Wish raid, like you honestly like you can get carried. That raid only requires 4 people to be really good at what they're doing for the most part.
Exactly.
You can kind of carry 2 people through. So I mean, I don't think you're going to be carried because you're pretty good. But I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. You could probably get into a group and be perfectly fine. You know.
Mm. I don't know, Each of Worlds kind of scarred me for life, that first room. All those ads when you're coming out and they're like 20 above you and you're just like, wow, you looked at me funny and now I'm dead.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, in the off-topic weekly catch-up segment, which we're doing right now, like I said before, I watched Daredevil Season 3. If you have Netflix, go out and watch that. It's probably one of my favorite shows of all time. It's really good. This new season was epic as all hell. Wilson Fisk what's his name? Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. Awesome.
Right.
He's so good.
Wilson Fisk as Wilson Fisk.
As Wilson Fisk. As the Kingpin. He's super good.
He's so good. He's so good. You identify him with that character, right? Like, that's why you call him Wilson Fisk, because he's, like, I mean, huge Daredevil fan of the comic books, everything. That Daredevil series, I'm really impressed with how well they do justice to it. And the Kingpin, yeah, he is excellent at being Kingpin.
Oh yeah, he gives like a depth to the character that you don't necessarily find anywhere else.
Exactly.
Like, that character can be so hammy in the cartoons. Like, he's just like an overbearing, very cartoonish bad guy. But Vincent D'Onofrio brings like life to that character in a way that I've never seen like a villain like get that much depth in a Marvel cinematic universe. You know what I mean? Maybe
like they really showed. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say maybe the Purple Man had some depth to him, but other than that, I don't know.
True. The thing that I loved about his portrayal of Kingpin is that he really showed how, like, why the Kingpin is the Kingpin. Like, he manipulates all these groups, even the FBI, like the FBI into working for him, out of cruelty and violence. But it seems like he's doing it so subtly, like he's wielding such incredible precision and force very quietly, which is what the Kingpin does.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I didn't mean to. Yeah.
What did you think about this season's long take shot? Every Daredevil season so far has had like a long take fight, and this season's came out of nowhere. Like, it took me by surprise. I didn't realize it was happening when it started happening, and it was awesome. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
It's in the. I'll give you a hint. It's the prison riot, and it was crazy.
Oh right, yeah, that was spoilers.
It was the long shot. Sorry, more spoilers. It was really good.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, because we're gonna get spoiler heavy if we keep on going. So just watch the show. It was really, really good. You guys ready to jump into this week's TWAB?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in this TWAB. This is a good TWAB, guys. There's a lot of cool things coming down the pipes. So, kicking it off, Banshee 44, you can now turn in 25 gunsmith materials at a time, up from 10. Jesus. What a good change.
Nice.
No one else cares?
Yeah, no, sorry. My guinea pigs are now squeaking in the background, which is really not now.
7 squeaks, up from 1.
I think that's great because especially now they've upped the amount of gun materials you have to deposit at Banshee. That was just, I stopped going to the gunsmith because it took too long. So maybe I can now get rid of all my all my gunsmith material.
I'm in the same boat, honestly. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of any kind of quality life improvement, and yeah, no, the thing I found is when you go to the gunsmith and you have to turn in 10 at a time,
Mm-hmm.
it just feels like you're depositing so much and getting so little return, you know? So
Mhm.
25, 4 clicks, much better than 10.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Another change: they're reducing the shader dismantle time from 1 second to a quarter of a second.
Again, quality of life improvement.
I still wish we
Definitely.
had a slider. Like, just let us delete as many as we want.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
see why they can't implement that somehow. Do you want to get rid of all of these? Yes.
Please.
Yes, I do.
Every one of them. I mean, we can print them out now. Let us just delete them all, please.
Yeah, it was weird because that's when they said about the new shader system coming in. I honestly thought we perhaps weren't going to hold shaders anymore.
Right.
And you just
Yeah.
pull them
You
out of
would
your
just-
collection somehow.
Or
But-
just spend bright dust to equip it right on the gear piece. Like every gear piece lists every possible shader that you have.
Mm.
Just spend the bright dust right on the item.
Yeah, that to me would make far more sense, but
Yeah,
there must be a reason.
it's interesting because they still just they still have the ability to just gum up your postmaster if
Mhm.
you're not deleting them, so, or throwing them in your vault. So yeah, I mean, this is a good change, but we'd still like to see some more out of it, I think, is what I'm getting.
Do you put shaders in your vault?
Oh yeah, I throw
Yeah.
them right in there. I don't really use my vault too much. I keep the guns I want, and that's pretty much it. And then, like, maybe an armor set or two that I like.
I
I'm
throw
sorry.
everything I get into the vault, and then every once in a while, I just go through and try and put together a solid gear set, and then bulk dismantle everything.
I'm definitely a minimalist, and I know I'm in the minority on that.
Yeah, I'd say I went through and cleared my vault out the other day because I got a load of year one stuff and I was at my vault for so long that it sent me back to orbit.
Oh,
Just
wow.
going through and deleting stuff.
Another big change coming, and this is pretty awesome. They're increasing the stack size of ghost fragments from 10 to 20, which is
Nice.
a really good change, I think, because, like, I'll be there on the Tangled Shore when I need to be there, and not have enough ghost fragments because I've used them on another character or whatever. Because you can only hold 10, so that's only so many bounties that you can grab from Spider at a time before you have to go out and get more. Holding 20, way better. I can go out there and just grind them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say
I
that's
went to go pick up my Tangled Shore bounties this week, and I was like, oh, I only had 4. I didn't even bother to grind out the extras. Now,
So let's
yeah,
get
it's
into
ridiculous.
the big news now. These are the main changes coming. The exotic duplicate weighting change is coming in. When you receive an exotic, we will take into account all exotics you found and weight them against exotics you have yet to acquire. This lowers the chances of receiving exotics you already own. Awesome. I'm really loving this change.
That has been needed since D1, in all honesty.
Oh yeah. They're also removing all the exotic quest weapons from the loot pool as well, which is huge.
Thank God.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've gotten a few Lord of Wolves, and it's like, why am I getting this? I've already gotten one. Like, why am I getting? I got Ace of Spades more than once. It's like, come on now.
Yeah, I know. Like exotics you get from quests, or even exotics you get from the story mode. Like getting mechanic trick sleeves. I keep getting that over and over again. And I'm like, come on, man. Like I've had these since day 1 of this game. Like don't give me that. Forsaken dropped. My first 3 exotics in Forsaken were mechanic trick sleeves. I'm like, come on now. That's just Bungie being mean.
So a few more notes on this. Exotics that you do not yet own will be individually weighted much higher than duplicate exotics. And when receiving duplicate exotics, you will be more likely to get armor pieces, as they have randomly rolled perks.
I think that's a good balance.
Yeah, I'm totally happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me the Shards of Galanor. Come on, game.
I am emotionally and physically excited at that news.
Yeah, that's a good change. I can't wait. I've gotten so many exotic drops in the past week, and I don't. You know what? One of them were new. I got the Black Talon, and that sword is awesome. But I would like to get some of the armor pieces. I'm missing a lot of them. So
Yeah, there's a lot of Warlock chest pieces I want. Very good. And I mean, everyone wants the Shards of Galanor, the Hunter.
Oh yeah. That's probably one of the top tier chase exotics at the moment, I would say.
I don't even think I've ever seen anyone using those either. I don't know how rare it is.
I've never seen it either. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a few people on Facebook posting that they've got them, but not compared to like the exotic weapons and other armor pieces. They seem super rare.
Oh yeah, they are.
Exotic engrams in general are rare. I think since the DLC dropped, I've only ever found like 2 actual exotic engrams, which for the amount that I play Destiny, I thought was very surprising.
I think I've gotten the most exotics just from running the Shattered Throne multiple times, like on different characters. That seems to be the place I get the most. Like otherwise, like other than that, I get a lot from the Blind Well, but that's it really. I mean, I think having a chance for prime engrams to turn into exotics would be cool.
That would be cool.
Indeed.
Like maybe like a 5% chance or something like that. But yeah, they definitely are a lot harder to get. I don't super mind that though. I kind of like these things being rare. I just want them to be easier to attain the newer stuff, I guess. Like so the stuff I don't own already, which this change is going to do. So that sounds like it's going to be pretty awesome.
Exactly. It's like double punishment if the odds of getting a duplicate are really high, and the odds of getting an exotic engram, to begin with, are really high. That's just, and it doesn't give you any sense of satisfaction. It just makes you frustrated anytime you get something you've already got, especially a quest-related exotic.
Like, yeah, this is my 4th chaperone. All right.
Yeah. By the time you get your 8th, you're just like, oh, someone at Bungie is going to suffer for this.
So here's another big change coming. Masterwork cores are getting renamed to enhancement cores. More sources will award enhancement cores. They will be added to scrapper bounties and 6 of those spiders' weekly bounties.
Excellent.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a really good change. I think changing them from masterwork cores to enhancement cores makes it so that like there's not so much confusion when it comes to masterworking and like infusing weapons, like using the same materials. It makes it make a lot more sense.
Definitely.
I think being able to get them from scrapper bounties and from spiders' weekly bounties is just really cool too.
Really lore fitting too, right? Because he's a trader and a dealer more than anything. The fact that you like if there was someone you would get masterwork cores or enhancement cores from, it makes sense that it would be Spider. Oh
yeah, absolutely. Also, the scrapper bounties. I love scrapper bounties, and having like a better reward for finishing them is just really neat.
Indeed.
Definitely. So that is a really good improvement that they're making.
The next thing, and this is pretty big too. They're buffing a couple exotics. The Wish Ender bow is getting buffed. It's getting its base damage increased. It's getting the broadhead perk fixed, and that is pretty exciting to me. I really like this bow. It looks awesome. It has a pretty neat perk to it, and making it actually viable will be a lot of fun.
100% agree.
I might be able to get mine soon.
Hey, hey! When you come play on PC, we'll run you through that thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm gonna be so far behind when I swap back to PC.
If you had joined in like this week, you could have just taken on the Haunted Forest and got a 600 weapon.
Well, I could have done that on Xbox, but this is like going off topic. I think Haunted Forest is great, but I ran it 3 times and I was kind of like, yeah, I'm done now. I can't say I've actually been back in.
Ooh, yeah, you gotta keep your eyes on the prize.
I really love the whole feature of the Haunted Forest. I wish they'd keep that, except just change it so that the further you get, like it drops exotics or masterwork cores or something, or like it's a really interesting wave feature that I do like.
There are definitely ways that they can expand on this, and I believe that they will. They've gotten so much positive feedback from the community. I don't think that this is the last we're going to see of this mode going into the future.
Mm-hmm.
The next exotic change is the malfeasance is getting buffed, increasing explosive shadow detonation damage and increasing damage against taken and invaders.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't have this gun yet, but Proxy, you have this gun, right?
Oh yeah, love that gun. Also, one of the things about the malfeasance I didn't know until it was explained to me, but if your team is using it, those detonations that happen on enemies from shooting them, you have to shoot enemies 5 times, but it takes into consideration if your allies are shooting them too.
Cool.
So it's not just from your gun. So like I could shoot an enemy 3 times and Vigilant, you could shoot it twice and then it would detonate, right? So I mean, imagine that for like meta, stacking that up against a raid boss. I mean, that's gonna be a little interesting mechanic. I'd be curious to try that out.
That's interesting.
And
yeah.
that increased damage against Taken and Invaders is going to really make it prominent in Gambit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's going to absolutely wreck, especially because it's like an upped version of the Rat King, except you don't have to be in proximity to like other Guardians, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd be spread across the map and shooting enemies. It's great. Yeah, no, that gun is so good.
Yeah,
I'm slightly biased.
Sounds like a lot of fun. The explosive shadows seem like a fun time. And like you're saying, you can just get like a lot of damage if you have a lot of people just using it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I will say that buff is definitely needed because playing with the gun, it hits hard, but the explosive detonations you could tell that it was underpowered in terms of the damage it was putting in.
Yeah, it's nice when these like huge chase quest exotics actually feel powerful.
Exactly.
The next big change is trace rifles. They're going to be affected by all of the auto rifle perks on armor and stuff. So auto rifle loader, unflinching auto rifle aim, auto rifle targeting, precision weapon targeting, auto rifle dexterity. All those perks are now going to affect trace rifles, which only makes sense. Trace rifles are in effect kind of auto rifles anyway, as far as like early on in Fusion went in year 1. So that only makes sense to me. They're going to spawn with 50 ammo in Crucible as well.
Which I think is what they're going to need to balance that, because Coldheart and Prometheus Lens, they're wrecking in Crucible still. If you get someone that's using it who's good with it, they're super powerful already. And so I'm glad they're capping the ammo, because otherwise we'd have a Prometheus Lens weekend
again
revisited, I think. Although that was so much fun.
That was
so much fun.
That was a great
laser tag.
Laser tag.
But I can see why they're limiting the amount of ammo that you spawn with in Crucible, because if you've got all those other perks on it, then we'd be seeing a new meta coming through, I think.
Oh my gosh. I completely forgot all about Laser Tag Weekend. That was a great weekend.
Laser Tag Weekend was the highlight of Vanilla D2 for me.
That was definitely a good time. That gun was a lot of fun, and then it just like got nerfed and disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm so glad they're handling Sleeper the way they are, because they're not nerfing the overall power and then like making the weapon irrelevant. They're just hitting the ammo.
Mm-hmm.
So like, because like with Prometheus Lens, they kind of ruined that weapon for a while.
Yeah, they did. I think it's still suffering, probably from what they did to it. So,
for sure.
Yeah, no one uses them anymore.
I mean like Coldheart's really good still.
Mm-hmm.
No.
No.
No? It can be. It can be in the right situation. The only problem is it eats an exotic slot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys finding that a lot at the moment as well, even with the new exotics, finding something that can justify removing Sleeper or Whisper There's a lot of super cool exotics, but I'm not finding anything else that I want to have my exotic slot at the minute.
Yeah, I've been experimenting with that a lot. Like, for example, this week I've just been playing Gambit a lot. I really like the gear set, so trying to collect gear and get the armor and whatnot. And I have a good Gambit rocket launcher, and I'm having a really hard time finding like a use for rocket launchers other than Sleeper or Whisper when it comes to DPSing enemies. Now, I mean, I've been using Telesto and Malfeasance, but I mean, there's just like an exotic primary weapon is never going to be viable over the Sleeper or the Whisper, right? And I mean, that really is a problem with exotics in the game, which is why I'm so glad they're buffing like the Wish Ender, for example. Because the Wish Ender hits hard, so I mean, with that being buffed, it'll hit even harder, and it might be more feasible. I don't know what they could do to combat that, though. That's the question I have.
So there's an interesting... So to hit on that topic right there, that's interesting that you say that, because Sleeper and Whisper aren't very good in Crucible at all. So you don't see those guns running rampant in Crucible, but you do see them being part like top tier in slot weapons for PvE, right?
Right.
And it's funny because we brought up last week where Killer Greg was on, he was talking about how there's a problem between PvE and PvP balancing. Like when it comes to gun design, if you're designing guns with Crucible balance in mind, then the power fantasy that existed in D1 at least for weapons kind of gets like very mellowed out. Like there's almost, you don't feel like a space god when you have a gun that needs to be balanced for PvP. But when it comes to like those two weapons specifically, they're not crazy in Crucible, but they are really good in PvE. So like in those two weapons, they kind of they figured out the formula in such a way where they have these really two powerful weapons, so much so that when all the other guns are affected by the PvP PvE balance thing, they lack the ability to stand out. And I think that's why you see those guns being so powerful in their slots. It's because those are two instances where we've been allowed to recapture some of the power fantasy.
The one weapon I have found to replace that I will use in place of Sleeper is Bad Omens is the Gambit rocket launcher, isn't it?
Yep.
And I got a drop with tracking and cluster on it.
Ooh.
Very nice.
So that is fun. And that's one of those guns that's really fun to transfer between PvE and PvP.
That's exactly the rocket
tracking
launcher that
perk.
I use.
Yeah, that tracking perk. I'm so glad they have brought back the tracking perk, because that's what I want from a rocket launcher. I don't know about you guys, but I want something that is going to track a little bit.
I mean,
I have that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like mini Gallahorn, right? It's like a baby Gallahorn running around.
Or Truth, because Truth always apparently had the better tracking on it than Gallahorn. So. And also, you get to do that really cool thing where you lock on a target and then you pull your rocket launcher away and it's all the way back around and hits where you wanted it to hit. But
can you do that in this?
A little bit. I haven't tried it to the extent that you could do it with Truth. Because Truth, you could like almost turn around and that rocket would still go back.
Oh yeah, you could like Kobe it and like throw the arc. Yeah, that's super fun. What were you gonna say, Prox?
Oh, I was gonna say I use a Bad Omens as well, the Gambit rocket launcher. And for mine, I have very low blast radius, max velocity, and then cluster bombs. And it has tracking. And I thought that it would be better to have field prep instead of tracking because you'd have more rounds. But using it in PvP, mostly Gambit, but in PvP as well, tracking is just so good. Like, you forget how good it is, but I mean, it's because players move, but they just can't get away from you.
Tracking, when you invade with Bad Omens with tracking in in Gambit, that is so much fun.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you just ducked behind that rock. It's okay, my rocket will find you.
You're still getting roasted. All right. So we got a little off topic, but to end the TWAB, get excited for Gambit next week, because it's going to be double Infamy starting Tuesday to Friday, and then on the weekend we're going to have triple Infamy
Hell yeah.
So
Gambit.
if you don't yet
I'm
have
excited.
that rocket launcher, the Bad Omens with those great perks, then all you need is a second reset and you can get it. So go for that grind and get that weapon. It is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed it is. Proxy gives it 3 endorsements. And my max is 2. It's got 3.
Oh my god, 3 out of 2?
Yep. As the Drifter says, 3 out of 2 ain't bad. I'm just kidding. He doesn't say that, but I do.
I guess that wraps up the TWAB. We can go ahead and jump right into the topic for the week. This week's topic is the Crucible, our top 5 weapons of all time. And this incorporates all of Destiny, Destiny 1, Destiny 2. Not only that, not the final versions of these weapons, but certain times in the history of Destiny where certain weapons were powerful. At any point in time, you can pick a weapon from any point in time in the Destiny history. So,
Okay.
Take us away.
So, my number 5 is purely for its fun factor. Tracked Cannon is in my top 5 because I absolutely love booping other Guardians off the map. It's just fun. I think Tracked Cannon is one of those exotics they did a really good job on because it's quirky, it's different. Its perks are somewhat questionable, but it's fun to play with, and it makes that really dumb little noise when you pull the trigger. It's what I describe as a happy gun, and that's why I put it in my top 5.
You troll!
Yeah.
Affectionately known as the boop cannon.
The boop cannon, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that everybody calls it the boop cannon too.
Yeah.
It's like universally called booping things when you shoot stuff with the tractor cannon. I love it.
And there's like this law that you have to say boop when you pull the trigger. So, Proxy, what's your number 5?
My number 5 actually is going back to Destiny 1 Iron Banner. I loved using this. Corrective Measure, Bolt of Glass machine gun. Heavy machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that thing.
The
You could just...
corrective measure.
Yeah, it's... a lot of people use a Thunderlord, but the Corrective Measure, Vault of Glass, the Raid, heavy machine gun, you could just chain and melt fools with that thing. I remember that in Iron Banner, just collectively getting like three kills in a row, 4 kills, 5 kills, and they respawn and you just keep finishing them off. Comes with field prep and get so much ammo for it. It was great. Mm-hmm. And I loved how in Destiny 1, when you picked up heavy ammo with a machine gun, like you had a crap load of rounds. You could use it, unload it, and then just stow it and save it. It's not, there's nothing like that in Destiny 2. Like in my experience. So that's why I love it.
You know what's funny is I went with a different raid heavy machine gun for my number 5. Not the Corrective Measure, but I went with the Quillam's Terminus, which was it was the legendary heavy machine gun from King's Fall. Super good because it had the ability on it wherein you could it would reload all the way if it was stowed if you would just switch to something else for a little bit. So it was really good. You could kill things with it, switch off it, come back to it later and be fully reloaded. It was awesome. That gun, I killed so many Guardians with that gun. So many mobs. Probably one of my favorite weapons of all time, I'd say, honestly.
Oh, look at that grin.
I love
Happy
that gun.
Memories.
I do remember everyone grinding for that gun in the raid, King's Fall. That's true.
It was really good. It was definitely a good reason why they should bring heavy machine guns back, because like people love them. Like you said, Corrective Measure. I have Quillam's Terminus. It's a great archetype. I'm really excited to have it come back soon.
My number 4 is from D1, and it would be Icebreaker. I think Icebreaker is probably the first time I enjoyed using a sniper rifle, but also had that lovely added perk of the fact that you just ran around with it and it spawned ammo for you. Definitely. That's the right one, isn't it? Yeah, it's the right one. Mm-hmm. You just looked really blank, and I was like, oh my god. just humiliated myself in front of the Destiny community.
He's just remembering all the times he shot in the face with that gun. You know,
Do you guys
all the bad memories?
Especially on Vertigo. That was a good gun for Vertigo.
That's so funny that you say Icebreaker. I wouldn't have thought about that for Crucible. I don't know if I ever really got into using it.
I think
deadly in Crucible.
Yeah, and because of the ammo perk, because you didn't need to find special ammo or energy ammo or whatever it was called back then. You just had to run around with it long enough to get some in your magazine. That's my number 4.
Well,
Proxy.
now it's my turn. Oh, yeah. And, Volta Glass fanboy, just Paradis timepiece for my number 4. Pulse rifle. Yeah, pulse rifle. It was great. I would just absolutely destroy people with that. And I would have to think that the closest gun to that in Destiny 2 would probably be the Claymore or the Broadsword. Redrick's Claymore. Yeah. Not Redrick's Claymore because of the Desperado perk, but in terms of appearance and deadliness, yeah, there was no pulse rifle as deadly in Destiny Crucible.
Can I just say that Praedyth, you just, as a lore fanboy, that Praedyth might be one of my favorite characters in all of Destiny. Just because during the Great Ahamkara hunt, he was having so much fun killing Ahamkara that he subconsciously wished that the hunt would never end, and Ahamkara that he was hunting winked at him when that happened, and then he got locked in the Vault of Glass for forever. Just an interesting little lore tidbit
I got
there.
his pulse rifle.
Yeah, we got a lot of his stuff. My number 4, and I'm going right back to the Vault of Glass with you, Proxy, on this one. My number 4 is the Vex Mythoclast. And now,
that's a good gun.
Important caveat, it wasn't always the best in Crucible. It got nerfed pretty hard, but there is a magical time in Destiny 1 where the Mythoclast hadn't been nerfed, and it ran rampant, and it murdered people. And it wasn't super like the field wasn't oversaturated with it. Like it was a hard enough weapon to get a hold of. So when you had it and you ran that gun, it was great. It melted everybody.
Do you feel like we're in an era right now where it's not so hard to get those guns? Because I remember that you used to get some really good guns dropped from raids in D1, and they were hard work to get. They were really rare drops from raids. And I do kind of miss that, actually.
That's kind of going on right now with 1,000 Voices, right?
Yeah, but that's just one of them, isn't it? We had quite a few to choose from. D1.
I think the saddest thing about guns like that is that when you would get them, they'd be so good, and any Destiny player knew that they were going to get nerfed.
That gun had like all of the joy of of the laser tag weekend with the Prometheus lens, but it lasted for a lot longer.
It might as well have been the first Trice rifle, like the unnerfed version of it. It was just a laser. I remember getting killed by it a lot.
Oh man, I remember doing a lot of killing with it. It was great. I guess we can go to number 3. Lady, take it away.
My number 3 is Telesto.
Ooh.
I've got a lot of void weapons on here. Actually, and especially now that Telesto is sitting in our middle slot, that makes it a lot more fun, I think, than it just being a heavy weapon, because it makes it a lot more you can utilize it a lot more in Crucible. You're seeing probably a theme here, actually. I like things that avoid and make things kind of like blow up and do surrounding damage, which of course is Telesto's perk. And I also like it because you get a lot beyond the grave kills with that, because it takes a little while for people to detonate. So it kind of gives you that same smug feeling that those pulse grenade kills give you when you're dead, but someone stands there too long.
You have a pattern for picking fun guns, because you can also shoot your teammates with that and let them run in and detonate on people too. Which is a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think for me, the most important thing when I play Crucible is that I have a gun that I enjoy using. So you're probably going to see that pattern through my list, to be honest.
Telesto right now is like insanely overpowered. And you're seeing a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people in competitive use that. Like if they don't have a
Yeah.
good primary, a lot of people are just running Telesto and destroying with it.
Yeah, it was an odd move to move it, I think, to the energy slot. Um, it's definitely opened up gameplay though, and and using it, because you perhaps wouldn't use it as a heavy exotic, but for PvP, I think it's good as an exotic use. It's one that you can use regularly as well because the ammo is slightly easier to come by.
Oh yeah, it's not bad, especially nowadays where you have so many shotguns that you can throw
Mm-hmm.
into your primary slot, or you can throw in like a good go figure or something.
Right.
A good pulse rifle in your primary, and then just go Telesto like secondary. That's not bad. It's definitely not bad. I mean, because like
Especially,
exotics are wide open right now. You can use anything
yeah.
for Crucible.
Especially the Telesto is really good in Crucible too. I didn't like it, but once you get the catalyst for it, it's even better because you get more
Mm-hmm.
ammo for it. Yeah.
Where do you get the catalyst? Anyone know?
Yeah, it's from Prestige Eater of Worlds. It has a chance to drop from any boss or any chest. It drops pretty regularly. I ran it with a group, and I think we did the whole thing, and 3 out of 6 of us got it.
Oh wow, I'm gonna have to do that
Yeah.
because you make a good point. That weapon is pretty fun.
It is fun.
Yeah. No one likes getting killed
And
with a
it's
fusion rifle in Crucible.
No, they do not, and it's so frustrating when it kills you. But it gives you that just little feeling of glee when you watch someone disappear in a purple haze.
Proxy, what's your number 3?
Vex Mythoclast unnerfed. I said it didn't belong in number 4. I didn't say 3. No, it's the Vex Mythic, the unnerfed version. I never had it in Destiny 1 when it was unnerfed. I just remember getting killed by it relentlessly and cursing the people that killed me with it.
You know what's funny is we actually met and became friends while I was killing you with the Vex Mythoclast.
That's true. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you were the first person that was killing me with it that I ever encountered, but it was an Iron Banner, and you were killing me with the. Yeah, that's true. That's how we met.
I wrecked you, but then your score was good enough that I invited you.
Yeah. You had an OP gun. That's the only reason why you wrecked me.
He literally was like, "I never want to run into you again as a combatant, so I'll just be on your team from now on." I was like, "Okay."
That is what I said. That's true. That's true.
I know. I remember. It was forever ago, but I do remember this.
Because it was funny. It was good too. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was Vex Mythoclast. Fuck man. Sorry. I was so mad at you when you were killing me though. I was like, oh my god. Yep. But yeah, that's my number 3.
Nice. So number 3 for me is a new gun, but it's a lot of fun. The Ace of Spades. And I say it's a new gun because in D1 it wasn't nearly as good as it is now. In D2 it is freaking awesome. So for me, it's a new gun because I never even used it in D1. I thought it was poo poo, but right now, super fun.
Yeah, indeed. Especially, I mean, it's also unique too, not just in the way it looks, but the way it reloads, sound effect of it, and I mean, it's a really nice kinetic hand cannon, definitely.
Oh yeah,
and it is definitely really good. Yeah, they did some good work with that.
The Memento Mori, when you have that active, that gun is so brutal. Couple headshots and people are just loading back in, respawning. You know, it's pretty good. I really have a lot of fun with this gun. I like hand cannons. For the longest time, I would just run Better Devils, and this is almost an improved an improved experience in every way, even over a perfectly rolled Better Devils.
I think that's really good because it was really hard to beat Better Devils for a really long time when it came to hand cannons. And there's a couple kicking about now that I'd say were better.
Would you say Trust is better too?
Yeah, I would. I like Trust.
Yeah, you see that gun a lot nowadays too. It's very overrepresented in Crucible, I think. If it's good, but It's no
actually-
Ace of Spades.
Yeah, it's. I actually. Well, anyway, we'll get to what I think of it.
All right,
So,
moving on
lady,
to number
what's
2.
yeah, lady, what's your number 2?
My
That's
number
not-
2 is a D1 pulse rifle called Final Duty, which was one of the Queen's weapons from D1. So I came to D1 quite late in the day and had this massive thing for pulse rifles because it was the only thing I could hit anything with. And having checked back in on Destiny, I see that it's still the weapon equipped in my primary weapon slot. I think Final Duty was probably the first pulse rifle that I really fell in love with and just used all the time. So for me, Final Duty is probably my favorite D1 gun across the whole game. But definitely, pulse rifles have always been pretty handy in Crucible.
Oh yeah.
That 3 shots helps. So
Yeah.
that's my number 2. That I don't really have much to say for it, apart from I just really liked it.
I don't think I ever used that gun.
I was going to say I don't think I've ever used that gun either because when you mentioned it, I didn't know what it was.
Me neither. I still don't know what it is. What's its name again?
Final Duty.
Final Duty.
It's one of the Queen's weapons that you got from Petra.
Oh,
So it
I do
also
remember
has-
that gun.
The funky reef pattern on it.
Right? Yeah, I remember that gun. Can't
Just-
say that I ever really used it.
Yeah, really nice pulse rifle.
All right, Prox, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is actually the trust that I have in Destiny 2, but it's very specific trust. It rolled with its masterwork version increases its range. Its impact is nearly max. Range is buffed, and the reload speed is incredibly fast, even though it doesn't have outlaw. But the other 2 perks that it has are explosive rounds or explosive payload and dragonfly. And it shoots so quick, reloads so quick, and the cannon is incredibly stable. Anytime I come up on a group of people in Crucible, 2 people standing next to each other or 3, I'll 3-tap one guy and then I can one-shot his 2 friends next to him because they're so low on health. And that's if I don't proc Dragonfly. If I get that, I don't even need to shoot the other 2. They're just dead. And the gun is just incredibly stable, shoots really fast, and especially with a backup mag modifier, 12 rounds. Best hand cannon I've ever gotten in that game.
That sounds great. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I really have to put that qualifier on there though, because it really depends on the role you get for the trust. Because I wouldn't like the majority of roles on a trust. I wouldn't say that they were worth anything. So it really depends.
I find it really funny that without knowing your list, I just brought up trust when I was talking about Ace of Spades.
Yeah. Oh man, you knew that was going to be at my list.
I had no idea. Honestly, I had no idea.
No?
I mean, trust is a really good hand cannon, but I didn't know that it'd be on your list. That's really cool. So my number 2
All right.
is
Bring
the
it.
No Land Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
No.
I don't have a webcam
No,
yet,
no.
so they can't see the look of shock on my face.
No,
I
I'm
was
just
I was
joking.
literally frozen.
I was waiting to see if you guys were to react to that, but then just dead silence. You guys couldn't believe what I said. No. Definitely not No Land Beyond. I used that gun one time and then deleted it. Red Death is my number 2.
Classic.
Might be one of my favorite weapons of all time if we go beyond just Crucible. But for Crucible, definitely in my number 2. Super fun. It would start healing you after you killed somebody with it. The lore behind it is just really cool. The gun fired well, it did good damage, and it was just a solid performer for me throughout all of Destiny 1. I cannot say more about that gun. I love that gun.
We just described for you that the happy, gleeful grin on Vigilant's face right now as he talks about Red Death.
Yeah, that was a good gun. I don't like the Crimson as much, though. I mean, a lot of people will compare it to the Crimson because the Crimson's like a baby Red Death, but I don't care for the Crimson as much as I like the Red Death. The Red Death just felt different and acted different. I don't know. I just enjoyed it way more.
100% agree with that. It did indeed feel different. I'm trying to think in my memory if it had a faster rate of fire. I don't know. because I mean the way they fire, like someone could correct me on that. Between the Crimson and the Red Death, like maybe they fire exactly the same, especially if we have the catalyst, like range, impact, all the same. But the Red Death in Destiny 1 certainly felt better than the Crimson. Something feels off with that gun in comparison because I don't use it for that exact same reason. Just it doesn't feel the same.
I guess we're getting to our number ones then.
We are getting to number one. I'm quite tempted just to say Crimson right now, just to make the conversation really awkward.
Oh, I kind of wish you would. I would have to disagree so hard. But no, go for it. Go for your number one.
So my number one is Nameless Midnight,
Ooh.
the original version, because the one that I've had drop recently has not so good perks on it anymore. Now that it's a random roll. When I play Crucible, I quite like to stay back. So for me, a scout rifle is pretty handy for that. But also with that explosive that you get on the shots, if you can consistently headshot with a Nameless Midnight, you can. I think we had this conversation the other week when we were talking about Graviton Lance. There's not many things you can't beat with a Nameless. And it's just reliable and it's stable. So pre-random rolls, Nameless Midnight is my number one Crucible weapon.
Interesting. As far as scout rifles, I'm surprised you didn't go meet a multi-tool or something. Like Nameless is good though.
I didn't like Mida. I did not like D2 Mida. D1 Mida was an amazing gun, and then D2 Mida just kind of sucked.
Really?
In my opinion.
Oh, interesting.
My turn to make things awkward.
Uh-huh.
My number one, I was going to say Hawkmoon, but it's Mida Multitool.
No.
From Destiny 1. Yeah.
I was going to say, okay, we'll let you have.
Yeah, Destiny 1. Destiny 2, it doesn't hit hard enough because I really think that gun should be like a 2-tap to the head.
Meet a multi-tool?
Yeah.
No way.
It should be a 2-tap. Yeah,
3-tap
definitely.
for sure.
No.
It's an exotic scout.
Yeah, exactly. 2-tap to the head, 3-tap to the body is what it should be. I mean, they could nerf that a bit if they wanted to, like, give it a slower rate of fire. But I mean, that gun is like your radar stays active while aiming down sights, and it's exceptional at mid range. And I mean, think about it though. Like, what they have to do something with it because no one ever uses it. And I mean, it was a staple of Crucible in D1. I remember getting like 21 kills with that thing in Crucible, like no problem, without dying.
And do you remember how excited we all were that it was going to be one of the first exotics we could get? And then you were just like, wow, okay, this legendary scout I've just got is better.
Yeah, exactly.
I used Nameless Midnight for 95% of my time playing Destiny in year one, to Destiny 2 year one. But I do also agree that, like, as far as Crucible is concerned, if we're just looking at Crucible, year one D2 meet a multi-tool, pretty much the king of most of the at least the first part of the year.
Right.
It just ran trials. Everybody needed it. Very strong.
And I mean,
but it was so easy to outgun.
Maybe, but it also, like, here's the perk that I think it's overlooked. It kept your radar up, which is not to be overlooked.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, think about that gun though. Even not in Crucible, like, it has that perk to know where enemies are. That's absolutely, it's not useful in PvE. So I mean, they should change that gun by making it hit really hard. I don't mean to rant about that, but it was one of my favorite guns, and it bothers me that I can never use it. Because I mean, even if any kind of raid or anything, you're never gonna take up an exotic slot by using the Mida Multi-Tool. You know, so I mean, it never gets used.
You know what I really loved is the Mida Mini Tool.
Is that your number one?
No. But that was the fun SMG though. I like a lot of the chase exotics. A lot of the quest exotics had like lesser, or had like legendary versions of a different archetype.
Vigilance being a troll today.
He is being a troll.
No Land Beyond.
I'm not lying. I really love the mini tool. That was a super fun SMG.
Okay.
You see, that's the thing as well, isn't it? So many of these guns are just not there anymore.
Yeah, I liked the Drang. I liked
Oh man, the Drang.
the Ikelos hand cannon was a lot of fun.
We need to do an episode where we talk about the
What's an
massive
Ikelos?
flops of exotics.
Yeah, really. All of them at some point until they get fixed. All of Destiny 2 Year 1 exotics.
So I'm gonna go to my
What's
number
your
one.
number one?
Yeah, I'm gonna
All
jump
right,
in this right now.
one.
And I can't believe neither of you guys said this.
I purposely didn't name it because I knew you were going to.
It's the
was-
Thorn.
I was going to say that was at number 3 on my list, and then I decided to swap it out.
Oh my god! Why did you guys swap these out? We could have had a moment. Like Thorn from Destiny 1 was so good. Like,
Are you talking pre-nerf?
of course I'm talking pre-nerf. Like after nerf, everything got garbage. You know, they went a little too hard on all the nerfs, but
Man.
yeah, multiple nerfs. It didn't just take one to take this gun down. Like pre-nerf Thorn was some of my favorite times in Crucible. It was a good time. I mean, you were either using that gun or getting killed by that gun. Maybe both. But
Yeah.
that gun, very, very satisfying to like 2 or 3 tap people with that gun. It was a lot of fun. Also, like when you look at the bullets as they hit a wall and they were like little daggers, so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So freaking cool.
Yeah, they look like railroad spikes almost.
Vigilant, our lists were upside down. I went for my fun, derpy weapons first, and you finished with your troll weapon.
Thorn was not a troll weapon. That weapon was straight up try hard mode Crucible, like ultra pro tier.
Oh man, it was for people who couldn't aim. They needed the burn to kill people.
What? No. It was because you didn't want people running away and healing right away.
Hang on, haven't all of Vigilant's weapons been ones for people who can't shoot?
Yeah, there you go.
What?
Vex Mythoclast, you didn't need to aim that. You just held the trigger and sprayed up the room.
What? Ace of Spades literally requires like a headshot kill to proc Memento Mori.
Uh-huh.
See,
doesn't it?
That's why the Hawk Moon was going to be my number 1, because it was so satisfying whenever you hit one of the powerful bullets in the magazine. Because that was its buff, right? You know, like 3 of the rounds in the magazine were super powerful, and you just headshot an enemy and bam, one shot. Loved that. It was so rewarding.
Oh goodness! The only other weapon I was going to add to this list was Legend of Acreus, of course.
Right.
No, that's a joke. I haven't used that gun since I got it.
The other one that I did have on my list that I wasn't really brave enough to add into my top 5, because it is a complete troll weapon, was Graviton Lance.
Hey, Graviton Lance was really good when it was good.
It's still pretty good.
Honestly, you know what?
But that was like an extended Laser Quest weekend where the whole matches were just Graviton Lance.
You know what almost made it for me was Vigilance Wing.
Oh, do you remember how
yeah,
much...
but I mean, that's because it's your gun. I mean, come on.
My God.
Name on it.
That was so good as well.
I
think it probably still is, but...
That gun's really good because we're in a pulse rifle meta right now. And I'll tell you what, I was just doing the Redrix broadsword grind. I'm still on... I'm on it still, but like I'm past all the headshots and kills that you need with pulse rifles. But when I was on the headshots quest, I got the catalyst like right away. And it was really good. Like by the time I was done with that quest, you need 150 headshots, and I got it within the first 5 kills. I got the catalyst, and
nice.
I looked at my catalyst, and I had 182 enemies killed with it, and that's 150 headshots in 182 kills, right? I mean, give or take 5 kills maybe, but that's really good. That weapon is super accurate, super fun to shoot. And right now in this pulse meta, it's doing a lot of damage. I wouldn't overlook that weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had someone message me thinking I was cheating. Because like they ran directly at me.
I thought you were cheating. All right.
No. So this person like runs directly at me, and then I 2-tap him in the head, and that's 10 shots in the head. So he messages me and he's like, "Hey, you're using a macro to shoot your vigilance wing, I see." I'm like, "What? Like, is that a thing?" Like, gun
fires fast as well.
Yeah, it really does.
He probably just never used it and didn't realize it was a 5-round burst. Probably, you know. So, I mean, it was like...
I think he thought it was a 3-round burst, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that does it for us for this topic. A super short topic, but pretty sweet. I mean, Crucible's a lot of fun, and there's been a lot of great times in Crucible. Unfortunately, like, every season sees the death of a favorite weapon and then like an emergence of another weapon.
True.
No one had a sword on their list. I was quite surprised by that.
I think there's probably a reason. Swords are pretty they're pretty useful, but not in a very like spectacular kind of way.
I don't know. They were good year one because year one, what was it? The sword everyone had was the complex solution. Because, you know, get like a heavy kill gives you back heavy ammo. You basically hit unlimited ammo. But I mean, I think for this, like, there's a lot of guns in Destiny and Destiny 2 for Crucible. And specifically, like, because I mean, you could say the Vex Mythoclast with a Thorn 3 times, you know, depending on when you got it, your experience with it. So I mean, even saying 5 guns each is like that's hard to do. Because I mean, each of us had an honorable mention, but I mean, I've got like 4 others, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's tough.
Also, I just got like Blacktown this week, and I'm sure given time that could creep up there because it's pretty good. Pretty strong in good. Crucible, yeah.
People see you running at them with a sword, and they're like, "You can't get me," and then you shoot like a flying laser disc at them. They're just like, "Oh, crap."
Oh no, you have that sword.
Yeah, exactly. I've personally thought that myself a few times.
That does it for our topic for the week. So let's jump into questions.
Questions
with Lady.
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm always ready for questions.
I'm ready.
Okay, so Justin on our Facebook page, which was really exciting, asked for someone considering returning to Destiny 2 who hasn't played since the base game. What would you consider was the most important thing to know?
You mind if I take this, Prox?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say the most important thing to know is that the game is fun right now. It's a really good time. It's a good investment. Every dollar you spend on this game is going to be well spent. You're going to, if you enjoy any sort of grind, any sort of RPG/shooter, you're going to love this game. It's a really good time to get into it. If you play D1, we're finally at a point where we've maybe surpassed where D1 left off. We're moving forward. The story is moving forward. The gameplay is only getting better. And not only that, but the community has grown to become huge, become inclusive, despite what we said earlier. Most people are very, very awesome and willing to help you do almost anything. You just got to find the right people. But the game is good. The game is in a really good spot. And I would say if you're on the fence thinking about getting the game, pick it up. Honestly, you're going to love it. Find friends to play with. You're going to love it.
The thing I thought about too was don't skip Osiris and Warmind. Because as poor as they were at the time, the Osiris storyline was actually really good. There just wasn't anything to do after it. And I just feel like they give you some context to what we're doing now. And at least when you go and explore the planets, you're understanding, and you do the strikes and stuff, you'll understand what's going on. I think it's great that they've got the Spark of Light and you can boost your power level up and stuff, but I wouldn't miss story just because you can.
Agreed. The only thing I would add on to the end of that question is, like Vigilant said, the game is in a great place. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is that if you read the TWAB or look at it, you can see all the changes they're making, and they're just polishing, refining, consistently making it better every week. You know, any big update or change they bring just makes the game even better, and it's in a good place, definitely, I would say.
So another Facebook question. This one I find really interesting, actually. This is Jesse, and he says, "Why is it so easy to get to 600? You don't even have to raid." Ooh. I personally have not found it easy to get to 600. My first 2 weeks of the game, I was getting powerful engrams dropping lower than my actual light level prime engrams virtually didn't exist for me. And obviously at the moment I'm playing as a solo player, and I've managed to hit 558 this week, and I am super excited.
So I think the thing is, if you play with friends and you understand how the engram system works, it is easy to, like, with consistent weekly play, as long as you're getting all of your milestones done, it's really easy. There's a trick to it, in that you want to hit the highest reward possible first, and then do your other powerful stuff. So if you're getting stuff that's not over your average level, then you may have done things out of order.
I think the first couple of weeks it was a little bit broken as well, because they did say there was some notes on the 12 about that.
Oh yeah,
and to be fair,
and
certainly no offense to this individual, but he could have just gotten lucky with his powerful engrams and whatnot, like it dropping, like not being a duplicate of one you already had.
Mm-hmm. I've also found as well, I've only run one character through all of this so far, and that makes a really big difference. Because I've finished the story on my hunter now, and she's already at 520, which is just that if you're playing all three characters, you're always going to level up quicker.
Yep. Because
you transfer gear and
yeah, there's a lot to do, and as long as you're playing consistently, you're going to hit max level. I mean, should there have been maybe a hard cap at 590, and then should they have had like special activities like the dungeon or the raid bring you above that specifically? Maybe. I mean, I think that there is merits to that argument. I think there could be positives in having 590 to 600 being really hard. I think once you hit like 570, like 578, 580, you can almost get to 600 within the next week after that. Mm-hmm. So maybe the last 10, 20 levels could be a lot slower. But for the most part, I mean, your level just gates you from gameplay. And it's important. It's part of why we play, to see that number crawl up. But the most rewarding things in Destiny, like, maybe get a little easier when you're higher level, but they're still challenging. Like the dungeon is still challenging. Flawless solo of the dungeon is incredibly, incredibly hard. Doing the raid, doing Petra's run, there is still really challenging activities. And just because the leveling of your power level to 600 is like can be consistently done without too much sweat, doesn't mean the game is any less harder. That's not a bad thing, I don't think.
So on Reddit, Dubs182 asks, what is your favorite weapon for Forsaken?
Ooh, malfeasance.
Really?
Yep. Absolutely love that hand cannon. If you don't have it, you have to get it. It's great.
I would say my favorite weapon so far is probably Go Figure.
That's a fun gun.
I got it before I even hit level 50. I got that with Outlaw and Kill Clip, and I used it for a long time. That was like my Go Figure was this year's Nameless Midnight for me. Like I used it primarily all the way through up until the raid, when I got right before I went to into the raid, I got a Better Devils with Outlaw and Kill Clip, and I switched to that because they're so good against the Thrall in the Cali encounter that I switched to that, and I didn't go back to the Go Figure for a long time, but I switched back and forth between those two. But Go Figure is really, really good as a year 2 weapon.
I think Vouchsafe is probably my favorite Forsaken weapon. But I like my scouts, so...
Vouchsafe is awesome. Have you gotten the curated role for that with Dragonfly and I think Outlaw? I might be wrong on that.
No, not yet.
Oh, it's cool. I love the way that weapon looks. That's a beautiful gun.
I remember being very jealous because we were going through the story together, and you got that before I did, and I was like, "Wow, I really want that."
So Anthony on Facebook says something we were discussing earlier. Where the shit are my shards of Galanor? Same place as ours, Anthony. They don't exist. It's a mythic exotic within the game world.
Indeed. Question answered.
And then the final question, I'm quite interested to see how you guys feel about this. Is there any talk on more player interaction between clanmates coming into game, or maybe a larger clan vault?
Clan vault.
Every time, personally, I'm really sorry, Corey, who asked this question. Every time I see someone mention a clan vault, I want to cry. Because I am super protective of everything that I earn within this game, and I don't want to share it with anybody.
Well, I think a clan vaults are always very optional. You can put into them what you want to put into them. If you check out episode 2, though, Corey, you'll see that we have a very in-depth discussion on the things we want to see added to Destiny, and clan changes were huge. Now, I don't think Bungie has talked at any length about where they want to go with clan stuff, but I'm pretty sure that they're listening to community feedback at the moment, and they're probably going to change some stuff in clans going forward eventually.
In terms of a clan vault, the only things I could see sharing, because gear, in a looter shooter, getting gear is like a status thing, right? It's like, ooh, I have this, so it's something. So I wouldn't say changing gear, but I could see putting in Crucible boons, Vanguard boons that you have extra, maybe Fireteam medallions, Master planet materials, things like that.
Do you remember how upset people got when they realized that you didn't even have to do the raid and you could get raid gear from the clan bounties, and then how quickly they removed that?
Yeah, that's true.
The Destiny community is really funny like that, actually. And that was within a clan scenario where they were like, well, they didn't do it, so why should they get the stuff without having to do it?
Yeah, it was even worse with Trials, because people were getting Trials gear, Trials the 9 gear. Yeah, I remember that being big.
In Destiny, because the loot pools aren't super big, I don't think a clan vault super works in a way where you could share share loot. I do think that a better change would be maybe having loot sharing between raid members up to an hour after. That would
so
be
you
cool.
could swap out bits that you got duplicates and hey, I just got my 3rd set of leg armor. Does anyone want it?
Exactly. I think that'd be cool.
That actually tailwinds into some of my gaming news in relating to Anthem that I was going to get to. That exact question, which we'll get to shortly. If anyone has a...
I am out of questions for this week.
Hey, well, that wraps up the question segment. Let's go right into gaming news. Proxy, why don't you hit us with this sweet Anthem news?
All right. Well, I wouldn't say it's sweet, because they cracked down and they said that while they do have matchmaking for raids, which is something that Destiny doesn't have.
Thank goodness.
Right. So they will have matchmaking, but they won't share loot at all. So whatever you get, whether it's your 3rd or 50th copy of whatever item, you can't give it to anyone else, even if they're in your raid team. And they actually made a comparison to another game that I was a huge fan of, was The Division. Because in The Division is one of the only online multiplayer games where if you do a raid with your teammates, you can actually share loot with them after the fact. You can share it for up to 4 hours after. And I mean, I played The Division. I didn't see any problems with the sharing of loot. I don't know what both of your thoughts are on loot sharing in terms of raids and whatnot.
I think it would be neat. The only problem I have with it, generally speaking, is that you can complete the game quicker, right? Because you can fill in missing gaps that you might be grinding for a lot faster, which means a lot of the superficial grind is gone, right? It takes away a lot of the time that you need to invest in a game, which kind of is the antithesis of a lot of game design, right? Because they want you to play more. So right. I can see that from that point of view. It would be nice to be able to share loot though. As far as from a gameplay point of view, from the player's point of view, I love having access to everything and being able to do stuff. So I don't know. It's an interesting question. What do you
It's
think,
just
lady?
whether or not it cheapens the experience, isn't it?
Right. I think it's a really tough call though, because like if you're in a clan running with clanmates, like why can't you share loot? Because it kind of devalues the whole clan system, right? Because I mean, maybe if Destiny added in. Oh, I don't mean to cut you off. It was just my final point.
No, you're fine.
If they added in that you could share loot, like if you did a raid in Destiny, you couldn't share loot with people, but if you did a raid with your clanmates, you could share loot with them because they're your clanmate, right? I think I would be okay with something like that.
Yeah.
I don't feel that clans do enough at the minute, but I'm not sure that that's the solution.
Right. I can agree. I'm just saying
Yeah. I'm just thinking, when you do your weekly clan bounties and you get, especially with the new system, you have to invest a lot of time to rank up your points now to contribute towards the clan, and you get one piece of powerful gear.
Right.
I don't really feel like that's, compared to all the other powerful gear drops you get in a week, that one's hard work.
Fair.
So I think clans need to give a little bit more, but I'm not sure that loot sharing is the solution.
I would definitely agree with that.
See, I don't know. I liked the way that Vision. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a tough call. I mean, a lot of people are gonna have different opinions on that. So I mean, we could do a whole podcast just about that. Going back into more Anthem news, they're actually having on November 1st, co-lead producer Ben Irving, he's taking just a random build, he said, and they'll be having live gameplay of Anthem out in the world, just running through the game.
That's like 5 days away.
So, I know this is like the first view of Anthem's gameplay. And they also released a bit more about what each specific javelin is. And if anyone's seen Anthem, javelins are suits that your character wears. And you have there's the Ranger javelin suit, and then the Juggernaut suit, and then there's like a Warlock looking suit, and then there's, I guess, what you'd class as like a stealth or a sniper kind of javelin looking suit. Now, they didn't talk too much about the fourth one, but the first three, I mean, they more or less said kind of what you see is what you get. Like the Juggernaut, obviously tanky kind of character. So they went into doing that a lot, but they're going to do a lot more about javelins specifically and how you play and what you play in the gameplay video. So I'm excited for that for November 1st. Because there's not a lot of gameplay for Anthem at all yet.
No, they've been quite secretive about it, haven't they?
Yeah. Which, just BioWare. Whew, so exciting. Sorry. Fanboy. I try to keep my fandom in check. I really do. It's hard.
Well, I'm expecting there to be quite a big section about the thing you've been really excited about over the last week.
Well, the thing I've been excited for?
Yeah.
What's that?
Red Dead.
Yes, yeah. That's where I was going next. I kind of set you up there. That's where I was going next. I was actually going to say something funny. Red Dead came out, and already a bunch of people have found cheats for it, like cheat codes that you can find in the game. So a true Rockstar game, because of course it's like the cheat codes are like you get your heavy weapons or you unlimited ammo, unlimited health, but then of course true Rockstar fashion, they have the always drunk mode, which is just great because that's just always drunk. But yeah, Red Dead. I mean, all the news that you're going to find about this game so far is just that basically all the hype is true. They hype the game being game of the year, being beautiful, amazing, immersive, incredible, and all the reviews, that's all they're saying. The only real thing that I have other news-wise, other than the cheat for that, was they released a companion app for Red Dead.
Ooh.
And yeah, well, it's not like Destiny where you can transfer items. What the companion app actually does is you can pull it up on your phone, and it gives you like a map. So it's almost as if like your phone becomes a map that you can look at and chart your progress where your character goes, and it also does display your character's stats. So I mean that comes in handy if you're playing immersively. You've got your game on the TV and you have the map off, and then you actually have your phone being like a real paper map that you could hold. I thought that was pretty cool. So good on them for that. Yeah. Other than that, there was some Star Citizen news. Do either of you follow Star Citizen at all?
Yo, I think Star Citizen is a meme, but I mean, by all means, your news.
Well, see, my news about it is kind of meme related. They because the thing about Star Citizen, why I keep an eye on it, is that I'm a fan of crowdfunding, right? Especially for games. Because there's a lot of old games and old game designers that wanted to make a game the way they wanted to make it. They wanted to make it for players, for gamers, no cutting corners, no making a shiny thing and tossing it out. And Star Citizen is the most crowdfunded game ever that has ever happened. They crowdfunded $195 million for that game.
Wow.
And they released a trailer, and it was just someone had noted that they crowdfunded just this week another $1 million for the game, which is really amazing because I think their original asking price was like $3 million. That was their goal. So like a lot of people, like, I mean, Star Citizen, I mean, half the news you hear about that is like, I'm not sure if it's just myth and legend rather than fact, So Vigilant, you're quite right when you said it's a bit of a meme. Because I don't even know what to expect from that game anymore.
That game sounds unreasonably cool. And by unreasonably, I mean, there's no way in hell that it'll actually ever work. Like,
right.
Their ambitions for that game are so grand that I think it's going to take a technological advance in our, like where we are right now for that game to work. I don't know if it works with our current, or I don't know if that it works with our current technological limitations.
Yeah, I think this is a state where literally they threw so much money got thrown at them. I just think they don't know what to do. Like they keep just having to do more. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I don't even know what to expect from it. I kind of had to stop following it because I'm just like, it's like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. It's like you go in there and it's just this mystical, magical place where they make amazing candy out of like just craziness.
I mean, I also stopped playing DayZ for that same reason, right?
Right.
Their promises were lofty, but like it's been out for like how many years now, and it's not even out into beta.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. Some interesting gaming news for The Division. They talked about political correctness and how they believe it has no place in the gaming world, especially in their game. I think they're getting hit a little hard of it because it takes place in Washington D.C. in like a dystopian future. So they're just like, no, we're not really going to delve into the politics that were going on with that. Just a little funny thing for The Division. I think they're being a little trolly there.
I think political correctness I think it handicaps you, or it handcuffs you. It limits the story you can tell. It limits the freedoms that you exhibit. I think that's a very good thing for them to come out and say.
Right. Yeah. Political correctness, no fun in games for sure.
No fun in many things.
And one of the last little things I had was Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk 2077. Some of the lead developers, they came out and they were talking specifically about side quests because they said primarily the game is going to be focused on its main story and side quests weren't necessarily going to be a massive thing. And that concerned a lot of people because the side quests were really important in, for example, their last game, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. Now, they elaborated onto it. For example, one of the spoilers ahead, if you haven't played The Witcher 3 yet, one of the DLCs called Hearts of Stone, if you just play through the main story, it pretty much only ends like one of two ways, but primarily specifically one way. However, there's a lot of unmarked little places you can go and people you can interact and talk to that aren't necessarily highlighted. It's kind of like one of the secondary characters in the narrative of that DLC will suggest you go do this. And for example, in Hearts of Stone, it usually ends with the bad guy taking a character that you were working for, taking his soul. But if you do one of these adjacent little side quests, it allows you to learn that you can actually gamble to save his soul. right, from this bad character. And so you end up actually defeating the real bad guy and redeeming someone who was bad. And so the DLC, the main narrative it changes rather significantly based on your decision to go and speak with, a kind of subtly suggested NPC. And I find CD Projekt Red is really good by doing that. And that's what they said in terms of Cyberpunk. They said that, so there will be a lot of side quests, and they might seem subtle or not really significant, but they'll have, everything you do in that game will affect the story or how it can end or choices your character will get. So even just reading notes in the game and getting other information, which I thought was a really, in terms of immersiveness and in-depth storytelling, really impressive. Makes you feel like you're part of the game. I personally don't think there's anything better that you can do in terms of. So that was fairly general news. Most of the news this week has just been all about. Honestly, it's all about Red Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. That's some good gaming news for sure. I'm pretty excited for the list of games coming out this year. Like Red Dead just came out. I need to pick it up. Like you brought up Division 2, that game's gonna be great. Anthem, not so much. I in a couple of days I'm interested to watch the gameplay because I'm very much on the fence on how I feel about that game.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see what it's like.
Oh, I suppose I did forget to add that Red Dead Online comes out in I believe it's 2 weeks.
Oh, it's going to have an online?
Oh, yeah. Red Dead's going to have an online system. I don't think it's exactly similar to GTA Online, but Rockstar, they tend to not disappoint because their track record for releasing top-tier games is quite good. The Metacritic scores speak for themselves. Nearly 100% on their last 3 games. So.
Ooh. It's exciting.
It's fun.
I'm pretty happy with what I'm hearing. So I think that does it for our game news segment. That does it for the podcast. We're all done. That was, pretty much a quick day for us. We got to come up with a juicier topic. The topic today was fun.
That was a fun topic.
But it is pretty quick, right?
Well, it was a tough topic. 5 guns, like I said, Destiny, lots of weapons, lots of shooting, booping people.
Well,
I'm still pretty upset that Tractor Cannon wasn't in anybody else's life.
It's probably in my top 10 for sure.
It's probably going to bother you, but I didn't even think of Tractor Cannon when I was listing guns.
Well, you're a terrible person.
But I use it in Crucible all the time.
And I know you love that gun. But anyway, that'll do it for us for the week. We've been the Destiny Beyond Gaming Podcast. Thank you for listening. If you want to find us, you can find us online on Twitter at DBG Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook at DBG Podcast. And please, 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 leave us a comment. Leave us some questions. Leave us topic suggestions, anything. Come talk to us. We'd love to talk to you guys about Destiny. We love Destiny. We love discussing everything about Destiny. Message us. We would love to hear from you. Also, if you're a streamer at all, or anyone that has any community involvement, come talk to us as well. We would love to start doing some interviews or anything along those lines. We'd love to help you promote. I'm Vigilant. Thank you for listening.
And I'm Proxy. It's been a pleasure, as always.
And I'm the Lady Guardian, and it's been great to be here again.
All right. You guys take care, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.